In my past life, I saw that message. The one that would have ruined them both. But I deleted it. I protected them. And they destroyed me. This time, I let the message stay, watching karma do what I never could. Welcome to Heart Tales, where we unravel the mysteries of love one story at a time. Whether you're single, in a relationship, or just trying to figure it all out, you're in the right place. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see love in a whole new light. So, grab a cozy blanket, maybe a cup of tea, and let's get started. Because here at Heart Tales, we believe every heart has a story worth telling. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's begin this journey together. They say when you're dying, your life flashes before your eyes. But for me, it was just one moment. One tap on the screen. That message. I deleted it, thinking I was protecting my marriage. Thinking I was protecting him. I died 2 days later, alone, in a hospital bed. My so-called husband was away on business, and my best friend, she, was on a beach vacation with him. I used to think love was sacrifice. That if I gave enough, stayed quiet enough, endured enough, I'd be enough. But when I opened my eyes again back in my old bedroom, staring at the calendar, I realized something had changed. I was back. It was 30 days before my death. I remember this date clearly. It was the day the message came in. Back then, I had picked up Leo's phone innocently because mine had died. And I saw it. I miss you last night, Celine had written. Next time, don't sneak out before I wake up. And Leo, my husband, had replied with a heart. In my past life, I had deleted it. Told myself I misread it. That it was a misunderstanding. That maybe they were talking about a dinner party or an old memory. But no, they were lovers. For years. Behind my back. Behind my trust, behind the lies of business trips and late meetings. This time, I sat up in bed and laughed bitterly. Oh, Celine, I whispered. I hope you're still as stupidly bold as before, because this time, I wouldn't delete the message. I wouldn't protect them. I'd let them burn each other, and I'd watch quietly, graciously, with a smile. The first thing I did was change my password. In the old timeline, Celine had access to everything: my email, my shopping apps, even my social calendar. She said it was to help me stay organized. What she really meant was to control me. So I changed every password. I wiped old apps. I backed up my phone. Then I stared at the calendar. 29 days until the message arrived. That was how long I had to play my role. The sweet, soft-spoken wife, the gentle, grateful friend. Oh, I'd smile. I'd smile like a fool, but behind that smile, there'd be fire. I got out of bed, pulled open my closet, and picked a red dress I hadn't worn in over a year. Leo used to say it was too much. I used to listen, but now, I looked at myself in the mirror and smirked. This time, I said, you'll get all the too much you never appreciated. When I walked downstairs, Leo was in the kitchen, scrolling through his phone. Morning, babe, he said, not looking up. Morning, I replied sweetly. I kissed his cheek, watched him flinch, just slightly. Funny how I hadn't noticed it before. That flinch of guilt. Big meeting today? I asked. He nodded. Yeah. Potential investor. Might have to stay late. Of course. Investor. I wondered what her name was this time. I might have dinner with Celine, I said, stirring my coffee. She wants to catch up. He blinked. Just a little too fast. Really? Didn't you see her last week? She insisted. You know how she is. He chuckled. almost nervously. Yes, Leo, I do know how she is. I just used to pretend I didn't. When I stepped out of the house that morning, the air felt lighter. I was a ghost once haunted, broken, waiting to be loved, but now I was the storm, and the countdown had begun. The days leading up to the message were a strange blend of deja vu and cold calculation. Every smile I gave was deliberate. Every word I spoke, measured, and every memory, sharper than a knife. Celine called me that afternoon. Hey babe. Her voice was bright, sugar-coated, like always. Still on for dinner this Friday. I could hear the smile in her voice. So fake, so familiar. Of course, I replied sweetly. Can't wait. I could almost feel her relax. She still thought I was the same old Aria. But I wasn't. I met her at our usual cafe on Friday. Celine looked perfect, flawless makeup, silky hair, designer bag I once helped her pick out during a girls' day. She waved, bouncing toward me. You look gorgeous, she squealed, leaning in for a hug. You too, I said, returning it. A part of me wanted to pull back, to slap her, but I smiled instead. I wanted her close, where I could study her, dissect her, watch her fall. Over lattes and salads, she asked about Leo. So, she said lightly, sipping her chai. How's Mr. CEO these days? Still chained to his office. Still chained to you mean? He's busy, I said. But we're good. Stronger than ever. She blinked. Just a flicker of something dark passed across her face, and I knew she had already slept with him. Probably multiple times. Maybe even in my bed. He's lucky to have you, she said eventually. Not many women are as patient as you. Patient. That was the word she always used when describing me behind my back. To Leo. To her friends. To the world. Patient. As in spineless. Patient. As in blind. Patient. As in pathetic. Oh, I'm not patient, I said, dabbing my mouth with a napkin. Just selective with my battles. Her eyes narrowed, just for a second. Then she smiled. That's fair. Oh, Celine, you really think I'm still your fool? After lunch, we hugged again. She walked away, waving. Text me soon. I smiled and waved too. Then, once her back was turned, I deleted her number. Not because I didn't need it, but because I already had a burner phone ready. One with auto forward set for when the message comes. I wasn't going to be the one to expose her. She was going to do it herself. That night, Leo came home late. The same scent lingered on his shirt, Chanel No. 5. Celine's signature. He claimed he was at a client dinner. I smiled, kissed his cheek, and handed him a glass of wine. You must be exhausted, I said, rubbing his shoulders. Want to take a bath? His eyes softened. You're amazing, I smiled. Only for you. I watched him soak in the tub, relaxed, vulnerable, completely unaware that I already knew everything. I wasn't going to scream, or cry, or beg. I'd done that in my past life. This time, I was going to watch him fall apart piece by piece without lifting a single finger. 3 days left. The message was coming. I'd leave it untouched and watch what happened next. 3 days passed in quiet suspense. I was no longer living in fear of the betrayal. I was anticipating it, because this time, I wasn't erasing the truth. I was letting it speak loud and unforgiving. It happened on a Wednesday morning. Leo had just left for work, kissing my forehead like a good husband would. As if I didn't know that behind that gesture was guilt wrapped in perfume and tangled sheets. I waited 10 minutes after he walked out the door, Then I picked up his old phone. The passcode hadn't changed, still my birthday. That small detail alone told me how much he underestimated me. He didn't even bother to hide it better. I unlocked it, and there it was. The message: Celine, last night was perfect. I can still feel you on my skin. Dinner soon? Leo, you drive me crazy. I'll find a way. I stared at it. Same wording as before. Same time. Same desperation in their secrecy. But this time, my finger hovered over the screen. I didn't delete it. I didn't even open it fully. Instead, I took a screenshot. Then another. Then I emailed it to myself from Leo's phone. Anonymous address. No traces. Then I forwarded it to my burner phone and archived it. Let the fire start itself. Later that afternoon, I baked Leo's favorite lemon cake. I even wore his favorite silk robe, pretending I didn't know a thing. He walked through the door, tired from work, or so he claimed. The smell hit him first. You made cake. I missed you, I said, smiling sweetly. He leaned in and kissed me, more intensely than usual. Guilt made him more affectionate. I kissed him back like I hadn't seen the message, like I hadn't already sent it to 3 people with power to destroy him. The next morning, I visited Nathan Langston, Leo's old college rival, now the CEO of a rival tech firm and the man Leo secretly feared the most. We met under the guise of a charity collaboration, but Nathan wasn't stupid. He looked at me carefully, measuring the tension in my words, the restraint in my tone. You look different, he said as we sat across from each other in his office. I feel different. I slid an envelope across the table. What's this? Something you'll want to see. But don't open it until I leave. He looked at me, surprised. Nathan, I said calmly, you're going to want to remember this moment. Because everything that happens next started here, and then I left. I could feel the strings pulling tighter. Leo, Celine, Nathan, they were all playing a game they didn't know I'd rewritten. I was no longer the pawn. I was the player. Back home, I watched Leo sip his coffee. His eyes darted to his phone. Another message from her. He smiled, and I smiled too right at him, because this time, I didn't need to say a word. In my past life, I would curled up in bed the moment I saw that message, heart shattered, tears soaking the pillow, desperate to make sense of the betrayal. This time, I didn't shed a single tear. I went shopping. I didn't go to the usual modest boutiques either. I chose the bold ones. The places Leo always called too flashy for a married woman. This time, I bought the red heels, the gold earrings, the slinky black dress that clung to me like a second skin. I was no longer dressing for him. I was dressing for the woman I used to bury to please him. When I walked into Leo's corporate party that Friday night, every head turned, including his. His eyes widened. For a moment, I could see his thoughts racing, wondering why I looked different, why I walked with that effortless confidence. Aria, he said under his breath, pulling me aside. What are you wearing? I leaned in, eyes sparkling. The truth, Celine was already there, draped in pearls and fake innocence. Her smile froze when she saw me. Her eyes scanned my dress, then flicked to Leo. Panic. I saw it. Just a flicker. But it was there. They thought I didn't know, but they could feel the shift. I greeted her with a warm hug. You look radiant, I whispered. She chuckled nervously. You too. Wow, that dress. Leo must be drooling. Oh, he is. I winked. But not for the reasons you think. And I walked away, leaving her rooted to the spot. I spent the evening mingling laughing with investors, speaking about charities and clean tech and mental health support programs. I let them see me, not Leo's wife, not the silent trophy, but Aria. Educated, sharp, undeniably magnetic, Leo kept glancing at me across the room. I could feel his confusion. Where was the quiet, obedient wife? She was gone, buried with the life I lost in the past. Near the end of the night, I noticed Nathan enter. He nodded at me discreetly from across the room, then approached Leo and extended a handshake. Their rivalry was infamous. So when Nathan leaned in and whispered something to him, Leo's face changed instantly. His grip tightened. His posture stiffened. "What did he say?" Celine asked, sliding next to him a minute later. "Nothing," he muttered. But I knew. Nathan had opened the envelope, and now Leo was beginning to feel the cracks. Later, in the car, Leo turned to me. "You talked to Nathan?" I smiled. "Of course. We're exploring a foundation collaboration." Didn't I mention it? He was quiet for a while. Then he said, "You're acting different." I turned my head and looked him in the eye. "Am I?" He didn't respond, because deep down, he knew. Back home, I poured us both wine. He sipped his, still watching me. "You look beautiful tonight," he said. I leaned against the counter. "Thank you." Pause. Then he added, "I missed you lately." I tilted my head. "Did you?" He nodded slowly. "I don't say it enough." "No, Leo. You said it plenty, just not to me." But I only smiled, because I was no longer chasing words. I was chasing justice. The next day, the leak went viral. Screenshots, emails, photos, Celine and Leo. Private hotel bookings. 2 years of betrayal. Documented with timestamps. Sent anonymously to a rising female blogger who exposed cheating high-profile executives. Within hours, it was trending. And within minutes, Leo's phone started blowing up. "Aria," he shouted from his office. "Come here." I took a long sip of tea before walking in slowly. Yes, his eyes were wide, panic-stricken. "Someone leaked everything." "Everything?" I asked, pretending to be concerned. "About what?" "Me." "About Celine. There are photos, messages. It's all over the place." I bit my lip thoughtfully. "Wow, that's terrible." He stared at me, and in that silence, I knew. He suspected me, but he couldn't prove it. Leo was spiraling. The moment those screenshots hit the blogs, his pristine image cracked like glass beneath a hammer, and all I had to do was let it happen. Calls poured in from the board. Shareholders demanded answers. His PR team worked overtime trying to contain the damage, but there was no spinning this. Celine's texts were too bold. His replies, too damning. Even worse, the leak had hit the international circuit. A foreign tech journalist, an old friend of Nathan's, had picked up the story. Now it wasn't just about scandal. It was about corporate ethics, trust, reputation. Leo came home that night looking older. His tie was loose, his hair disheveled, his silence long. I waited patiently in the kitchen, pretending to scroll on my tablet. "Do you know anything about this?" he asked, voice low. I looked up, eyes wide with false innocence. "About what?" "The leak. The photos. The messages." "Oh," I set my tablet down. "The ones of you and Celine." His face turned white. So I continued gently. "I saw them. Hard to miss. They're everywhere now, aren't they?" "Aria, you must be devastated," I said, pouring him a glass of water. "All that trust broken. So embarrassing." He stared at me. "You knew?" I read the messages, Leo. I handed him the glass. In your phone. Just like last time. His eyes widened. Last time. I smiled faintly. Never mind. Celine, meanwhile, had gone quiet. No calls. No texts. Radio silence. She always craved attention. Applause. Now that the spotlight had turned against her, she ran. She didn't even check on Leo. That told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't a partner. She was a parasite. And parasites abandon dying hosts. 2 days later, Leo's board called an emergency meeting. The outcome? Suspension pending review. They asked him to voluntarily step back while they handled damage control. Translation: we're buying time to push you out. Leo came home that night and didn't even look at me. He just poured himself a drink and sat in the dark. But I didn't sit with him. I went upstairs and took a long bath, letting lavender oil and silence soak away the last threads of my old self. I remembered how I had begged him in my past life, begged him to come home early, begged him to choose me, begged him to tell me I mattered. Now, he had no choice but to sit in the ruins of what he built, and I didn't even lift a finger. The next morning, he tried again. Aria, he said, I messed up. I kept buttering my toast. I know. I should've. I don't even know what I was thinking. It didn't mean anything with her. I looked him dead in the eyes. It lasted for 2 years. He flinched. Okay, yes. But no, Leo. I cut him off. There's no but when you systematically erase your wife's worth for a fling in hotel rooms. He ran a hand through his hair. I just want to fix this. You don't get to fix it. You get to live with it. He fell silent. For the first time, I saw a flicker of fear in his eyes. Not fear of the leak, not fear of Celine, but fear of me. Because I wasn't the same woman anymore. That afternoon, I got a text from Nathan. They've started internal voting. He's going to be pushed out. You were right. Also, you were brilliant. I replied simply, thank you. That means a lot. And I smiled, because this wasn't revenge. It was clarity. It was what should have happened the first time if I had chosen truth over silence. And this time, I didn't delete anything. I watched, and they reaped what they sowed. I expected her to reach out sooner. Celine always had a way of slithering her way back into situations that no longer welcomed her. But this time, it took her a full week, a whole week of silence, a week of Leo's downfall, a week of social media dragging her name through mud. And then suddenly I got a message. Aria, can we talk? Please. I didn't mean for any of this. I'm so sorry. There it was, the coward's apology. Late, forced, self-serving. I stared at the screen for a long minute. And then I replied, sure, let's meet. Café Solace. Tomorrow at noon. I arrived early. I always did now. There was something satisfying about watching someone walk into a room thinking they held the upper hand only to find you'd been sitting there all along. Already 2 steps ahead, Celine walked in wearing oversized sunglasses and a scarf around her head like she was some kind of celebrity dodging paparazzi. She spotted me and made a beeline to the table. Aria, she exhaled. God, I don't even know where to start. Start with the truth, I said calmly, sipping my tea. She blinked, thrown off by my tone. Okay, Leo and I. It was a mistake. A huge, horrible mistake. 2 years is a long mistake. She winced. I didn't want to hurt you. I swear I fell into my husband's bed. Her eyes welled up. Fake tears. I'd seen them before. I loved him. I thought he'd leave you. He promised he would. But he didn't. And I felt used. I felt betrayed too, Aria. I raised an eyebrow. So now you're the victim? She looked away. I'm not saying I didn't mess up. I did. I'm sorry. I lost everything, my job, my clients, my credibility, and now you want what? My forgiveness. She nodded. Slowly. I don't want to fight anymore. We've known each other since college. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could fix this. I leaned in slightly, my tone low but sharp. Celine, you didn't come here to apologize. You came here to see if I'd help clean up the mess you made. Her eyes widened. That's not true, save it. I cut in, voice calm but firm. You didn't just betray me. You disrespected me, lied to me, laughed behind my back. And then you expected me to quietly fade away. Her hands trembled. She looked like she might cry again, but I didn't offer her a napkin, or a hug, or even sympathy. I offered her the truth. I let the message stay this time, Celine. That's all I did. I let your actions speak for you. Silence. Do you know what hurts more than betrayal? I asked softly. Knowing I once would forgiven you. In another life, I would protected you both. Again, she said nothing. So stood. You reap what you sow, Celine. And you've just begun your harvest. I left her sitting there, alone in her designer coat and hollow excuses. That night, Leo came into the bedroom with hesitation. I heard you saw her today, Celine. He nodded. What did she want? He asked. I shrugged. Forgiveness. And I gave her clarity instead. He sat on the edge of the bed. Do I get a second chance? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I walked to the mirror and removed my earrings slowly. Then I turned to him. You want a second chance with me, but you never even gave me a first. He didn't sleep in our bed that night, and I didn't miss him, not even for a moment. The morning I told Leo I wanted a divorce, he didn't say a word. He just stared at me. No yelling, no begging, no blaming, just silence. But the truth was, we'd already ended a long time ago. This was just the formal goodbye. I'll have the papers sent over, I said, sliding a sealed envelope across the kitchen table. He didn't touch it. I still love you, he finally said, voice hoarse. I tilted my head. No, Leo. You loved the idea of me. The quiet wife. The easy one. The loyal one who looked away. He clenched his jaw. I was stupid. I shrugged. Yes. And that's not my problem anymore. Later that afternoon, I visited the law firm Nathan had recommended. Clean, professional, discreet. They already had a file waiting for me. I was ready to walk away with everything I deserved and nothing I didn't earn. My name would no longer be attached to Leo's empire. Instead, it would be attached to something better. Mine. 2 weeks passed. In that time, Leo's company publicly replaced him as CEO. Celine deleted all her social media. Nathan, on the other hand, started sending flowers, roses, peonies, orchids. Different every time. I didn't respond right away. I wasn't ready for love again, not yet. But I didn't shut the door either. One day, I found a letter in my mailbox. No flowers this time. Just a handwritten note. I never said anything back then because I thought you were happy. But I saw you, Aria. Even when Leo didn't. And I still do. Nathani smiled. Not because I was swept away, but because for once I was seen. I started my own foundation. It focused on helping women reclaim their lives after betrayal, after abuse, after gaslighting, women who were taught to be silent, women like me. I gave talks, wrote articles, and stood on stages I never thought I'd deserve. And the more I spoke, the louder my voice became, the more I healed. One afternoon, I got a call from Celine. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Her voice was weak, shaky. I just wanted to say, "You were right." I didn't say anything. I tried to fix things with Leo, she continued. "But he's not the man I thought he was," I sighed. "He never was," she whispered. "Do you ever miss him?" I thought for a moment. "No," I said gently. "But I miss the woman I was supposed to become before he broke her." A pause. "Thank you for answering," she said. "I don't deserve your kindness." "No," I said, "but I didn't answer for you. I answered to remind myself I'm not her anymore." And I wasn't. I was the woman who didn't delete the message. I let it live. Let it speak. Let it destroy the illusions I used to cling to. And from those ashes, I rose. Not to chase revenge, but to reclaim myself. The first time I walked into a room without feeling like someone's shadow was the day I realized I no longer needed anyone's permission to be whole. Not Leo's, not Celine's, not even my past selves. I was invited to speak at a women's leadership summit. The topic: the power of boundaries. Funny, right? The woman who once sacrificed everything to be loved, now teaching others how to never do the same. As I stood backstage, mic clipped to my collar, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the mirror. Strong, poised, unapologetic. I barely recognized her, and I loved her. The moment I stepped onto the stage, I wasn't nervous. I was ready. I told them my story, not in detail, but in truth. How I used to shrink so others could feel big. How I used to protect people who never protected me. How I used to delete messages, literally and metaphorically, just to keep the peace. And how one day, I didn't. After the talk, dozens of women approached me. Some with tears, some with fire in their eyes. One woman held my hand and said, "I left my husband last month. He said I'd regret it. But hearing you, now I know I won't." That night, I cried, not out of grief, but from relief, because finally, the pain had turned into purpose. Nathan called me that evening. I saw the live stream. He said, "You were incredible." "Thank you," I replied, smiling. "You deserve everything that's coming next." I was quiet for a moment. Then I said, "Nathan, would you like to grab coffee sometime?" A pause. "I'd love to," he said. And I could hear the smile in his voice. We met the next morning. Just coffee. Just conversation. No pressure. No illusions. He didn't talk about Leo or Celine or the past. He just asked about my dreams, my plans, my next chapter. And for the first time in forever, I allowed myself to imagine it. Not alone, not dependent, but shared with someone who saw me clearly. Back at home, I received a final envelope in the mail. It was the official divorce decree. Stamped, sealed, done. I held it for a long time, then placed it in the drawer with my old journals, records of who I used to be, not to mourn her, but to honor her survival, because without her pain, I wouldn't be here. Later, I took a walk. The same park Leo and I once walked through, hand in hand. This time, I walked alone. Not lonely, just free. And as I stood beneath the golden trees, watching the sunlight dance through the leaves, I whispered to the wind, You thought breaking me would end me. But it built something stronger. I had let the message live. And in return, it set me free. Some people say rebirth is a miracle, but mine wasn't wrapped in light or some divine realization. It was cold, lonely, silent, and it began with a message I had deleted once, thinking I was protecting love. But love doesn't hide behind secrecy. It doesn't lie. It doesn't cheat. It doesn't ask you to erase truth just to keep the illusion alive. No, love stands in light, and that's what I chose. This time, I let the message live, and I lived with it. Months passed. My foundation grew. More women came forward. More stories poured in different voices, but the same pain. I held their hands. I listened. I reminded them they weren't alone, and in return, I healed too. Not quickly, not completely, but steadily. Nathan and I took things slow. He respected my space, my pace. He never rushed my silence. We laughed. We shared old music. He showed me his sketchbook, a hidden talent I never knew he had. And when he looked at me, it was never with pity. It was with quiet admiration. The kind you can feel even when no words are said. One evening, as we sat watching the city lights from his apartment balcony, he took my hand gently. "You don't need me," he said softly. "And I love that about you." I turned to him, eyes shimmering. "I don't need anyone," I replied, "but I choose you. And that makes it more powerful." As autumn painted the world in gold and rust, I moved into my new apartment. Bright, airy, my name on the lease, my rules, my peace. I filled it with fresh flowers and second-hand books, painted the walls in shades I once feared were too bold, and I hung a single framed quote in the hallway. "Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes." Leo tried to contact me once more. An email. Short, empty. "I miss you." I didn't reply. Not because I hated him, but because he no longer had a place in the life I fought to rebuild. Letting go wasn't bitterness. It was self-respect. Celine disappeared from the public eye completely. Last I heard, she moved cities. Good. Let her start over. I wasn't angry anymore. She didn't win, and I didn't lose. We just evolved in opposite directions. Sometimes, I still think about that moment I saw the message and made a different choice. A powerful choice, not to erase, but to expose. Not to protect, but to preserve myself. And in doing so, I discovered the one person I had betrayed the most was me, but not anymore. So if you're listening, wondering if you're crazy for doubting their words, you're not. If you feel the weight of silence pressing on your chest, speak. And if you see the message that could break everything, don't delete it. Let it live. Let the truth rise, because from the ashes of betrayal, a stronger you will rise too. Thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button, comment your thought and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, spread love.